What is up, everybody? Welcome to this week's episode of the Dennis Pixels podcast. I'm your host, Brad, joined by my co-hosts, Micah.
Hey.
And Carrie.
What's up?
So Mike is probably going to be a little quieter this week, because you can probably tell he's a little under the weather.
Yeah, I went to the doctor, and the doctor said that, Mr. Payne, you have a very serious case of FOMO. And,
so I knew
description.
I was keyed in by a listener that you had bought that, and I laughed that I was like, he's probably saving that reveal for the show.
Yes.
We have a lot to talk about. Obviously, SGF was this past weekend. The Switch 2 has come out. We have some things to say about that. Actually, you know what? We're here. I know I had Switch 2 later on the docket. Let's start with Switch 2. Switch 2 came out last week. We all have it. We've all been playing Mario Kart World, because that's the only game technically that's out for Switch 2, or at least the only Nintendo published game, unless you count like up-res versions of some of the Switch games that came out. Long story short, my summation for anyone out there listening that is thinking about it is wait. You really don't have to run out the door to buy this until there's more games available to play on it. And there will be. I mean, like I said, there's a slate of games that we know about that are coming out soon. It's a solid upgrade to the original Switch. Really, if anything, to me, in my mind, it's more like a Switch Pro. There's not a whole lot that it does differently than the original Switch. It just kind of does everything better than the original Switch did. Even as far as just like how the GUI works, where it's snappier. The eShop actually loads in a reasonable amount of time instead of like the terrible piece of shit eShop that the Switch 1 eShop is at this point. It's a solid piece of hardware. It definitely tickles the hardware nerd in me. But you can wait. I do not think anyone needs to run out the door to grab this right now, unless you are absolutely jonesing to play Mario Kart World, which we'll talk about in a little bit, because I have some thoughts on that game. Let me pass it to Carrie and let me know what your thoughts are.
Well, I don't have my copy of Mario Kart World yet because it got stuck at a distribution center somewhere in fucking Oklahoma.
Oh,
so
you didn't do the bundle?
No, I didn't do the bundle.
Okay.
I hedged my bets as far as it being easier to order the console on its own, which helped me a lot because, I was actually it was very easy for me to secure the system on its own. But that does mean that I had to pay a little bit extra for Mario Kart World and also had to get it separately. So it's somewhere in flyover country right now. That being said, what I have done is play some Switch 1 games that have been upgraded in some capacity, as well as just some general Switch 1 games. So Pokemon Scarlet and Violet look incredible.
Yeah, I've heard it's actually playable now.
It is astounding how buttery smooth that game is on the Switch 2. So I intend to use the copious amount of time off that I have available to me right now to play through the DLC on my copy of Scarlet finally. So getting back into that a little bit. I have no intent on replaying Breath of the Wild or Tears of the Kingdom anytime soon, but I did dick around in those games a little bit. Yeah, those look incredible. And I've also just been playing a lot of Pokemon Snap. And yeah, looks great. The load times are lightning quick on some of these Switch 1 games. So it's been fun.
I was gonna say I did get the Switch 2 version of Tears of the Kingdom because I skipped it because I knew that they would probably come out with a better version of it when the Switch 2 released. And yeah, to your point, like the load, I remember how long the load times were in Breath of the Wild on Switch 1, and they are considerably faster on Switch 2, and everything just runs very smoothly and is generally very nice. So
Yeah, I'm very much looking forward to actually diving into Mario Kart later this week. But in the meantime, obviously, plenty of other content to play. My boyfriend actually picked up Cyberpunk for the Switch 2 yesterday, played a little bit of that, and that it looks incredible. It is so smooth on the Switch 2. So yeah, I mean, I haven't really run into any complaints. If I have one nitpick, it's that when you're waking the system back up from sleep mode, it seems to take an extra like second or two
for the
to
Joy-Con
register.
to turn on, yeah.
Yeah, for the Joy-Con to then turn on. Apparently there's a setting where you can kind of turn that off. But yeah,
Got it.
that's what I got.
So Micah, why did you cave? Because I knew you weren't planning on this to begin with.
I caved because you know who I am. And that's what I do. Now I'm gonna be like, oh, my son, you know, he goes to like after school care and they have a Wii and he keeps talking about Mario Kart and he, you know, he likes to play it and all that. So I say, oh, okay, well that's all the excuse I need. I'll go get a Switch 2. And these things are like readily available. Like,
Yeah.
I was a little surprised. That was another reason why I was just like, you know what, I got paid. Father's Day is coming up. I'll just get myself a Father's Day gift, and it's not hard. Like I if I had to jump through hoops to get it, like I was gonna do that. But I ordered it on Friday. They said it'll be here Monday. It came on Saturday. So, so yeah, we've been playing Mario Kart, and you know, we got he's not where I was at his age when it comes to video games because we don't let him like play a bunch of video games. So we got a couple steering wheels because like that's how he likes to drive it, and the accessibility features in Mario Kart itself, you know, they can prevent you from falling, right? Like, there's auto acceleration also, but you know, we usually turn that off, but we keep auto steering on to prevent him from falling, and he just has a good time with it. It runs really well. Now, you know, the thing with Mario, and look, maybe I'm not playing it right, okay, but the big thing about Mario Kart World is the world, right? And free roam is cool, but like I thought that you would be able to like free roam into like Grand Prix or free roam into other stuff. And for again, maybe I'm playing it wrong, but like free roam is just that, free roam, and you know, you can find like little P-switch challenges to try and accomplish, and those are fun. But I thought that like, you know, if like that one Need for Speed game where if you roll up to a starting line, you hit a button, you can start a race. And I thought you could do that. Correct me if I'm wrong.
I don't think it's designed that way.
That's a shame.
It isn't like, so talking about Mario Kart. Let me preface everything that I'm about to say with I appreciate Nintendo and their unwillingness to stand pat on a successful formula. You know what I mean? So like Mario Kart 8 Deluxe or Ultimate or whatever it's, I can't remember what the superlative is that's on the one that came out for the Switch. The most like out like I can't think of a first party console locked game that has sold more copies. Like obviously like GTA and Minecraft have certainly sold more, but I mean Mario Kart Deluxe sold 50 million plus copies on the Switch. And it would have been very easy for them to just say, hey, this was really successful. Let's just do more of this. And they didn't. They are trying to mix up the Mario Kart formula. They're saying, hey, like Mario Kart 8 still exists. People can still play that if they want to. We're gonna try to move the series forward with this new one that's coming out for the Switch. And by and large, I'm not sure that I'm in love with a lot of the changes that they made in this one. The thing I like the most, I really like the Knockout Tour mode, which is the new mode. It's modeled off of F-Zero 99, which is basically like a battle royale race where it takes place across 6 different courses that you go between. Not even really courses, because it's really more like a rally race where it's like point to point.
Yeah, it's like point to point, isn't it?
It is, and basically like at throughout the race, there's gates that essentially lop off like the bottom 4 racers. So you have to constantly stay above the cut line in order to stay in the race. And with a 24 racer field, those races, the knockout tour races, they're delightfully chaotic. Like they're really fun. They're really swingy. They're what works really well about the Mario Kart formula on a scale that we've never really seen it before. I like those a lot. The free roam is a bit hit or miss. Like Micah said, I like the P block challenges. Some of them are better than others for sure, but I like the fact that they have some other collectibles that you can search around and find. But for the most part, like I feel like driving around in that space feels like it's weirdly too vast almost. You know what I mean? Like and it's largely directionless. You're muted, Micah. You muted yourself to probably as a cough button. You're still muted, buddy.
How about now?
There you go. There we go.
All right, yeah. Don't get sick, folks. It feels like a bad GTA map in that it is big for the sake of being big, and there's stuff to do, but like not a lot of it.
Not enough of it. I mean, like Burnout Paradise or Need for Speed Most Wanted are good touchstones, but like those literally had an event that you could do at every intersection, or there were billboards that you could smash through, or gates that you could, like secret areas that you could find that were kind of littered throughout that world. It was very dense, and I feel like that the Mario Kart world does not have the same level of density that like a Burnout Paradise has, for example. So it's fun to noodle around with. I can see myself playing free roam as like a podcast activity when I just need something to occupy one side of my brain while I'm listening to something else, right? Because it doesn't take a lot of brain power. The Grand Prix mode is the Grand Prix mode. Like, there's not a lot of difference there. But my biggest issue with this one, I'm not a big fan of the track design with a lot of these tracks that are in this game. And there are some standouts, to be sure. Like DK Spaceport is fucking awesome. Like, the end of that level is you're literally running up like the Donkey Kong girders as barrels are flying at you and stuff like that. That's really cool. Like the Boo Cinema is a really neat level as well. That's pretty cool to check out too. Like the highlight stages, like the feature stages, are pretty good. The problem is that the way it seems like the Grand Prix are structured is you have like one like kind of regular circuit race, and then you have two like let's drive to the next race kind of races where it's more of along like a road pathway, and then the last race in the Grand Prix is more that traditional circuit that you would typically find. And the problem is that the middle two races are just kind of boring because, again, like you're doing that more point to point like rally style, and because those are structured that way, it just doesn't have the same feel as you're accustomed to from like a Mario Kart course. And combine that with the fact that because it's a 24 racer field, some of especially those like road courses are like incredibly wide. to accommodate all those racers, which just kind of leads to long stretches of the race where you're just kind of driving in a straight line and not a whole lot happening around you, and it's really easy to avoid other cars and stuff like that. So
Yeah, I agree. It, it's like, when you do open world map design, like the lanes are wide, like that episode of Seinfeld where they like painted
yeah.
and the lanes was like, whoa, this is luxurious, right? Like, like that's kind of what this is.
Yeah, and so you have this, like, this juxtaposition of, the courses that are good are really good. Like the ceiling is very high, but the valleys are also pretty low as well. So it ends up being, somewhat uneven, somewhat imbalanced, as a whole. Again, still a great game. I like the little accoutrements in the game where, like, every character has different outfits that you can unlock, and some of those are very funny. So there's certainly a lot to chase after in the game for sure, which is great for replayability. But I don't know. I was hoping that we would really see, like, the next step of the Mario Kart franchise with this game, and I don't necessarily know that it has achieved that. Now, that being said, it's still going to sell millions, tens of millions of copies, so, like, it's gonna be a bona fide hit, and it still has the stuff that, like that's the other problem for me, is that it, like, kind of take this with a grain of salt, because I played Mario Kart almost exclusively single player. I'm sure if you're racing, like, with friends, whether online or especially in person, a lot of that stuff kind of goes out the window because you have the social aspect along with it. But as,
Yeah,
like, yeah.
playing with my son, I'm enjoying myself because it's my son, right? Like,
Right.
you know, but I still I bought a year for Nintendo Switch Online just so I can play this online, and it's fun, and like, oh yeah, these people actually know how to play Mario Kart, like, really well. It's like, oh, okay, this isn't 50 cc's. Um, but it does get better when you play it with others just because of the chaotic element, and it is a lot more challenging, you know.
Hmm.
Like, I feel myself when I'm playing with my son, I feel myself kind of letting off the gas a little bit, just to keep things interesting. But when you're playing online, I'm actually, and you know me, I'm usually pretty averse to playing with other people. I don't necessarily mind as long as I don't have to directly interact with them, which is the case here. And it is fun uh, when you do it. Like you said, the knockout mode is really, really great. I haven't won one online yet, but
Hmm.
that's um, that's kind of the goal. And yeah, I'm just a little disappointed about the whole free roam, world aspect of it. I thought there would be a little more to it, and it's just kind of it's just kind of there.
Yeah, agreed. So, um, well, that'll carry. Anything else on the Switch 2 before we progress onward?
Nah.
I
Excellent.
bought uh, I bought Yakuza Zero,
Of course you did.
um, because yeah, because you know me, and and that's a really good Yakuza game. Like, if you've never been into the series, like, that's the one to pick up. Not just because it is chronologically the first game, uh, but it's also a really, really good game. And in this one, my only problem is that when I played the first time, it was in Japanese, and I don't mind, reading subtitles and stuff.
Hmm.
Um, I'm old now, and when you get old, Carrie, you tend to put subtitles on the screen, just because, like, you can't turn the thing too high, can't turn TV up too high,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because you don't want to wake
Mm-hmm.
the kids up. But at the same time, especially if I'm watching something foreign, like I mean, like, with, like, accents in English, like, what they
Mm-hmm.
say? What?
Mm-hmm.
What was that? So you just turn the subtitles on. So I'm used to, like, having subtitles on and reading The problem with Yakuza games is that uh, they rival Hideo Kojima games in terms of length and cutscenes, and like you're watching. It's a lot of watching and it's a
Hmm.
lot of reading. And you know, if you get tired of reading, you can pick up Yakuza Zero. It's got an English dub. It's not horrible. Young Yeah, the YouTuber is voices Kiryu, and it's yeah yeah.
Okay.
He's a little. It's fine. It's fine. And but it's serviceable to get you through it, and it's still like it looks great. It's one of those things where it's like, wow, this is running on a handheld. You know,
Yeah, welcome,
I,
welcome to having a Steam Deck.
right. See, that's how long it's been since
Yeah.
I've had a handheld, and I got this. I'm not gonna play it like. I'll play it on handheld when we do our road trip, our yearly summer road trip. But that's it. It's just gonna stay docked because like I just don't
And
use it
that's
like that.
and I don't even have my dock hooked up yet. Honestly, like that's where I'm at. Where I'm playing it in handheld exclusively because that's how I play a lot of games now. So, again, it's a solid system. I like a lot of the hardware decisions that they made. It's a great size.
Hmm.
Feels good. Like I had to kind of find a comfortable position to hold it in because the first day or two that I had it, I definitely had the hand crampies with larger hands. But I think I've kind of maneuvered my hand in such a way to make it a little bit more comfortable.
I'm a big fan of the magnetic Joy-Cons.
Yeah, they're cool. They feel
They are
good.
very satisfying to attach and detach from the system. I like how
Feels
it's
good.
like it's bigger than the Switch, but it doesn't feel that much bigger, if that makes sense. Like
Yeah,
it's
they
not
get,
significantly heavier. It's like it's a little extra screen space, and that's really it. So,
and again, like they got rid of like I think it's relatively like bezel like really thin bezels, which also
mhm,
helps give it the appearance of seeming bigger than it actually is. I
mhm.
don't know why more screen makers don't just do that because that's a real great way to to kind of cheat and make it seem like that your device is larger than it actually is. But it's a good piece of kit. But again, like if you're on the fence and if you're just like, I don't know if I should get it or not, just wait. I mean, wait till like Donkey Kong and Prime 4 and some of the other games that people might be interested in release. Because right now, I don't I don't think Mario Kart itself is compelling enough a reason to run out and get it right away. And unless you, like me, missed out on Tears of the Kingdom when it was on regular Switch or stuff like that, I think it's worth waiting until some more content comes out for the console. But I'll tell you what though, if you're not PC inclined, like if I wasn't playing most of my stuff on PC, I would be loading this thing up because there's gonna be a lot of really good games that play really well on here, and even
Mhm.
stuff that like I might in the past I might have considered like no I need to buy this on PlayStation. It seems like will be a good choice on the Switch with as much power as this thing has
Mhm.
this time around. So we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we will dive into Summer Game Fest weekend. So Summer Game Fest, aka Key 3, was this past weekend, which means that we had a lot of presentations abound for various games that are coming out. And I just wanted to talk about the weekend as a whole because this Summer Game Fest happened this year not only under this pall of game studios continuing to do layoffs and the
Mhm.
industry, the capital I industry is not in a better place than it's been for the last couple of years. But also you're seeing the same thing kind of in games media to the same extent as well, where a lot of places are downsizing and stuff like that. So like the vibes were generally kind of bad. And I watched pretty much every presentation that happened this weekend because I fucking love these things. I don't know why, but you sit me down in front of a reel of trailers, and I'm really interested because I like to know what's happening in games.
No, I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, I didn't watch anything live. But,
Yeah. And
um,
I will say, and Carrie and I were talking about this before we went live. There's a lot of cool stuff happening in games right now. Whole lot of cool stuff. A lot of the smaller presentations like Day of the Devs and a lot of like the featured like Latin America games and South Asia games and stuff like that have a lot of really cool indie games that are coming out. And even the first party presentations were really something to behold as well. Like Sony really, I think, wowed a lot of people, especially with the new Marvel fighting game that's coming out, which was a complete surprise that nobody saw coming, which I'm sure we'll talk about in a little bit here. And Xbox also had a pretty good presentation, really focusing on Outer Worlds 2, which to me is kind of a surprise. But then again, I guess it's their big game that's coming out this fall, so they want to kind of lean into that a little bit. But a good varied presentation, a lot of different games coming out for that as well. But there was one showcase that stuck out like a sore thumb that was different than everything else, and that was the main SGF showcase that Jeff Keighley hosted. Because if you're not a fan of shooters, or if you're not a fan of Souls-likes, there was not a whole lot there in that presentation for you, except for Resident Evil 9, which was a very pleasant surprise considering they swerved everybody during that presentation for that.
That was the only one that I saw anybody like talking about out of the Summer Jeff Fest presentation. Honestly, like, I feel like I've hit the point of just being sick of Jeff Keighley, and not even in like oh, he's around for funsies kind of way. He seems increasingly out of touch with the reality that the vast majority of people who play video games actually live in. He seems painfully out of touch with like the state of the industry, or he's like aware about it, because who isn't, and would prefer to just keep his head in the sand and come out on stage wearing $750 designer sneakers to do his presentation.
Well, that's his thing. He's a shoehead apparently.
I don't give a fuck. It is just another way of being like, oh, okay, like we're just very out of touch.
Right.
So I don't know. I'm so fucking tired. Like like you've got this ongoing situation with like layoffs in the industry. You've got the whole like the new details about the Ubisoft sexual harassment lawsuit that's going on right now that we will probably talk about more in depth last week. But it's like the state of the games industry is not great. Mm-hmm. And Jeff would rather come out and be like rah-rah cheerleader, like look at all of these great first-person shooters you can buy. The lack of acknowledgement about like the state of things, I think, is driving a lot of people crazy between Summer Jeff Fest and the Jeff Awards.
It's worse, the lack of acknowledgement or the very like tacit like, hey, it's a really tough time in our industry right now, but we're here to celebrate, so here we are, right?
Yeah,
like,
I think
acknowledges it, but like, okay, all right.
Well, with the exception of course, the notable exception of that, he certainly had some strong words for Konami when they did his boy dirty several years ago.
Right.
Yeah, man, you don't mess with his man.
No, you can't mess with the reputation. But and so that's part of it. The other part of it is that obviously, like we learned last year, that you know the to get on the stage at one of these events that he puts on, like obviously like Capcom, Nintendo, like the big names don't have to probably do this, but like if you're a smaller publisher, you have to fork over a pretty significant amount of money to get that placement, essentially. Yeah. And unfortunately, what that does, and I'm not even saying that Jeff Keighley should not do that, because obviously, like, if he wants to keep this thing independently funded, or I don't want to say independently funded, but keep corporate sponsorships away from this, or at least ones that don't make sense to do with this. Like, we don't need the fucking Mountain Dew can like running around. I'm or the Gillette, razor mascot. Like, I'm cool with that, and I appreciate that. So if he has to, solicit funds for this stuff, then so be it. But it does create kind of the wrong incentive structure, because instead of showing games that you think will be widely accepted, you're just giving spots to the highest bidder. And right now, the highest bidder are going to be publishers that are completely bereft of innovation and new ideas, because they are trying to look for the safest bets possible. And the safest bets possible in the AAA gaming space are multiplayer shooters and Souls-likes. Because if one of those are what's hot right now, and if one of those hits, then you're going to be doing pretty well, even though the hit rate on those games, to the extent that publishers need it to be, is not incredibly high. And so you had this just like wash of kind of games that just looked the fucking same to me, like endlessly, where it's like, hey, like, here's another Souls-like that has freaky looking dudes that you're swinging swords at in third person combat, and here's another futuristic shooter with wall running and battle royal and whatever else that's kind of going on. And it's just really fucking disappointing and kind of like kills the excitement from most of that presentation. And again, there are highlights. I think the game that resonated with me the most, not just because it surprised me, but just because, like, hey, here's something legit unique, like that boxing game, like Muppet Punch Out, that got showed off. Like, that looks cool as shit. Like, that, I can't believe, like, those are in-game graphics. That
looks amazing,
right? like it looks like, it's legit, like just rendered video essentially, with that stuff. So like I said, that's an exception that's kind of out there as well. But just, I don't know, man, like, the AAA space is so fucked right now, and it's a good thing that the rest of it, the rest of the industry, like, what undergirds it, like these AA games that are rising back to prominence but are actually of really good quality, not just like the licensed bullcrap that used to come out back in the day, and all the indie stuff is actually out there that's worth playing. Because AAA is fucking lost right now, man. They're like outside of Ghost of Yote, which is a first party developed game, I can't think of a single AAA game that's coming out where I'm just like, holy shit, like, I can't wait to fucking play this right now.
Mm-hmm.
You don't want to play Call of Duty Black Ops 7?
7?
I mean,
There's
look, I'll give them this. They definitely faked me out. That, like, I thought that was a fucking Remedy game when they were going through that fucking trailer until they got to the very end.
Yeah, man. Like, I was like, oh snap! It's the dad from The Last of Us. Like,
right?
I mean, not The Last of Us. What's that show that makes
the good place, or not The Good Place, but what the fuck is it called? I can't remember. I know what you're talking about.
I can't remember, but yeah, he died in a crock pot fire or some
right.
shit like that.
Oh, This Is Us.
Yeah, This Is Us. That's what it is.
This Is Us.
Or as I heard someone say, oh man, look, Xbox finally released Milo. It's a pretty good joke. But yeah, man, like that presentation, except for the Resident Evil announcement and except for the Bond reveal. Actually, no, the Bond reveals were during the Sony event. So like that whole fucking presentation was just a fucking bummer, man. Like the whole goddamn thing. Except for RE9, which is a game that I don't personally give a shit about, but I'm very happy for people that are excited about the new Resident Evil. It looks neat.
Yeah, I mean, obviously Resident Evil has been on the up and up since 7. I mean, good for them. Glad Capcom is continuing to provide for those folks, but it's not for me. I don't do spoopy games.
Yep. So, let's so we're not gonna, we used to go through these blow by blow. There's too many fucking presentations. It's no fun to do that, and plus we end up talking about a bunch of shit that we really don't give a shit about. So let's just kind of go around the horn and talk about some of the games that stood out the most. Okay, look, let's just get this out of the way. Me and Micah have to talk about 007.
Oh, right.
I'm very excited about what they're doing here. I was very curious to see how they were going to handle James Bond. Like, would they try to be inspired by one of the film actors? Would they do their own thing, but just kind of like still tailor it? And they're going to they're like, you know what? We are going to do our own swing on James Bond. It's obviously going to have the touchstones, but we're doing young, first mission James Bond. We're going to do our version of the origin story. And I think that's a cool way to go about it. Like, I understand that we had Casino Royale already, but the writers in that game and kind of how it's being directed, it seems like they get what's cool about James Bond. And so I'm interested for it.
Yeah, man. When I saw it, I immediately thought of you, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then I saw Lenny James as M, and my immediate thought was, ugh, woke, ugh, gay, woke,
he's
right?
he's not M. He's Tanner.
Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
M was the South Asian woman, which again double woke. Right, double woke.
Right. Like, people are weird, yo. Like, what's wrong with men, yo? What's wrong with you? What's wrong with us? I don't know. Look, this I'm super psyched. Even this even hit Jay's radar.
Oh, really?
And yeah, and he was like, "Oh, this, you definitely buying this." I was like, "Yeah, you know me. I'm definitely buying it." I was worried about. I was worried that, and I'm still a little worried that. I just want to see how it plays, right? Like, I don't want this to be a Naughty Dog game, right? Whereas
I don't think it will. I think it I get the sense from what very little they've shown, and there's gonna be a bigger gameplay reveal next month apparently for this, is that it's gonna be like Hitman, but what if you didn't have to sneak around all the time? You know what I mean? Like kind of that style of gameplay, but actually with like playing aggressively as opposed to playing stealthily. Is what it seems like it could be.
I want something like that. I want something that's that sounds great, right? I just don't want just like walk from point to point, up here's an arena. I guess people are going to start fighting, right? And you look at this trailer and I'm seeing all these like driving scenes and stuff like that. And it just gets me super, super excited. Also, like, just a well-crafted, like, narrative with no, like, bullshit around it. Like, I'm super excited. And I don't know, man, this trailer did it for me. I'm really into it.
And it helps that they have the hallmarks. Like, I think, and again, we talk about product placement in games and how, like, we're just like, hey, like, it's, we don't like it when it's gratuitous, but we like it when it makes sense. I think it's cool that they're fucking putting Omega and Aston Martin and shit like that in this game because it makes sense for this character to have that shit.
Yeah, it does, right? Whereas, like, the prince of a fantasy land is not eating cup noodles,
right?
Like, he's not. He's driving around in a Bentley, going to a food truck to eat cup noodles. Like, he's not doing that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, look, and I don't mind, like sports games, right? Like, I don't mind sports product placement because, like, product placement is everywhere. If you want to put it in your sports game, put it in your sports game. But, it makes sense there. It makes sense here.
And they have a lot, like they have a lot of little touchstones for everybody. Like the character has a facial scar, which has only been seen in the books. That's something that they've never transitioned to on film. The score, like it has the On Her Majesty's Secret Service stinger in there, which obviously like I'm gonna fucking catch because that soundtrack fucking rips. You know, it has like they're kind of shading back to, it seems like they're going to shade back to GoldenEye a little bit, where it seems like you might be going after a rogue agent of some kind from the little teasers that are sprinkled in throughout the trailer. And it just looks, it's got the quips, and the quips aren't like groaningly bad, but they're just like the right kind of stupid and funniness and that sort of thing. So like it looks like that they understood the assignment so far with what we've seen. Like Micah said, I'm looking forward to seeing what actual gameplay looks like of this. But the teaser definitely put me at ease as far as like what to expect from the IO James Bond game, which is called First Light. So, Carrie, what is one for you from this weekend?
Final Fantasy Tactics is getting a remake in this political climate. I can't wait. You know, Tactics is considered by many to be the single greatest game in the larger Final Fantasy franchise, and for very good reason. It's an excellent turn-based tactics game, but it also has a very impactful political story. And I think that they would put this out today for contemporary consoles is incredible. So yeah, that game's coming up on nearly 30 years, first released in 1997. So yeah, that comes out in September. I'm looking forward to checking that out. As far as like a totally, well, because I'm also really excited about the Persona 4 remake.
Right, which we just saw the slightest
slightest amount. I mean, it feels like it feels like Atlas ended up needing to do it just by nature of the fact that Yuri Lowenthal fucking ran his mouth online a couple weeks ago. I don't know if you guys saw that.
I saw it.
But,
if we had a regular docket, we absolutely would have talked about how it's probably not a good idea, even if you're not under like an NDA, to just leak game plans.
No, and Yuri Lowenthal has been doing this for close to 30 years himself at this point, as far as being a full-time voice actor. So he, of all people, fucking knows better.
Right.
But it's also the idea that like he was also the original voice of the main character in Persona 3, and when Persona 3 got remade, they changed all the voice actors for that. They recast it because, generally speaking, you know, 20 years, give or take, go by since the original release, your voice is going to sound a bit different.
Also, Yuri Lowenthal, like, you're doing okay, bud. Like, you can give some other voice actor, like,
he was given like a lot of the original Persona 3 voice actors came back as voicing like some of the adult characters that were not voiced originally. So I don't know why he thought he was just going to reprise his role as Yosuke in the Persona 4 remake, given what they did with Persona 3 Reload. But regardless, look, Persona 4 Remake is happening. We've all known that it's happening. Last year, after Reload came out, Atlas went ahead and trademarked a bunch of different like URLs, you know, all that nonsense. So yeah, Persona 4 Revival will come out eventually. Persona 4 is my least favorite of the modern Personas, but in spite of that, I do think it has the single best villain. Not to go into spoilers if you haven't played it, but look, Persona 4, good, just not as good as 3 or 5. I will put another 100 hours into it when Revival comes out.
We'll go around. We'll go in circles here. So my 23-year-old self playing PSP was very excited this weekend. We finally got like a bigger well, we got a bigger look at Hot Shots, the new Hot Shots Golf that's coming out, so very very excited about that. Ratatan, I played the demo. It is literally just what if they made a Patapon. It's the same team, so that's making it, but it is literally like, hey, like it's Patapon with all of the gaming evolution accoutrements that you would expect, and it's great. I can't wait for that game to come out. And then of course the thing that like the first announcement of the show, and I was like, cool. I don't know why they put the main event on first during the Sony conference, but they did it. LUMINES Arise coming out this fall. There's a new LUMINES fucking finally. Us LUMINES fans have been starved for so long, and they're doing exactly what they're doing and just taking the Tetris Effect connected aesthetic and just putting it on LUMINES. And that game is going to be fucking sick, and I cannot wait to dump an insane amount of hours into that when it comes out this fall. So
I saw that and I was very happy for you.
Yeah, I was really fucking excited. So
you know what else got me excited? Marvel Tokon.
Of course, yes.
I mean, you know, my friends know me. Brad was like, "Hey, did you watch State of Play?" I'm like, you know, kids are getting on my nerves. I gotta watch it later. He's like, don't let anybody spoil you. So I had to stay off of the internet, which is probably something everybody should do. And when I got to the end, I saw that Arc System working logo. I thought the PlayStation and Arc Systems working logo, because like in the beginning, they were like, "Hey, here's a fight stick. Here's an official PlayStation fight stick." What? Okay, that's random. And then by the end, we see that Arc System Works, the people that make Guilty Gear and Dragon Ball Fighter, is making a tag game, and it's a Marvel tag fighter, and it is a 4v4 fighter. And it blew everyone in the fighting game community's mind. It is it's exciting. Look, I know some like hardcore Guilty Gear people don't like Guilty Gear Strive, because it's kind of like the Street Fighter 4 of Guilty Gear, where it kind of is bringing back people and bringing in new fans and stuff, and it's not like overly difficult. In terms of execution, but I really dug Strive, and the possibilities for what we're seeing here are incredible, right? Like, one, this game's got to have a ton of people at launch, right? It's got to have a ton of characters, right? Because it's a 4v4 fighting game. Like, we can't launch with 24 characters, right? Like, we gotta hit like 40 or 44, right? And just if you've ever played Dragon Ball Fighters, like, I'm not even into Dragon Ball, but the amount of hair and love and like anime nonsense that they do in terms of presentation for that game is amazing, right? And they're like recreating famous scenes from the anime, and they're creating alternate versions of those scenes, like if Gohan and Cell fight, right? Like, what if Cell wins, right? Like, that's about as deep as I go into Dragon Ball. And they have like little cutscenes and stuff for that. Like, I'm super excited because, one, this team make really good fighting games. They make really, really good fighting games. Two, they care about their presentation is top notch. And I'm always a little scared when like an Asian art team decides to take on traditionally Western characters, because like, I don't want everybody to look like they're from Marvel Rivals, right? Like, Marvel Rivals is cool, but Marvel Rivals characters are like overly designed, man. And no, I think they kind of nail it.
It's
The
got
only
it's got
thing
the right amount of anime. It seems like
It's got the right amount of
injected in.
anime. It's
Yeah.
got the right amount of anime. The only thing I don't like is that like Captain America is wearing a jacket for some reason, like a Captain America jacket. Like I don't know, it's weird, but everything else, it looks good, man. It looks good. I'm super excited for it. It's 4v4, which they said, yeah, we understand that 4 characters is like a lot to kind of master, but we're gonna have it so that you can just play as the lead character with 3 assists, or you could switch on the fly, right? And I'm just curious to see how this system is going to work. Um, and yeah, they did it before, and they did a 4v4 fighter before Capcom did,
Yeah.
which is like, wow, dude. Like I appreciate the chutzpah of like, pushing these boundaries. Um, yeah, I can't wait, man. This is dope.
All right. Well, let's take one more break. When we come back, we got more games to talk about. So stay tuned. All right, Carrie, what's next on your list?
I feel like I need to talk about Sonic Racing Cross Worlds. The look at that we got over the weekend, I think
Look,
really is
you literally
positioning
Micah,
it.
you literally made Micah walk
I
off the
like
podcast by bringing
it's
this up.
fine.
How dare you?
Look, I think the look that we got at it this weekend is really solidly positioning it as a competitor to Mario Kart World.
Mhm.
I think that they are starting to dig into Sega's back catalog of characters, which they have done for like older Sonic and Sega racing games. But that they teased, Ichiban from Yakuza is going to be playable,
Yeah.
and
Joke.
Hatsune Miku is going to be playable, and Joker from Persona 5, and like the Minecraft characters, right? So I am curious about it. And then I think it was earlier today I saw a story that the racing control system and how it's differing from previous Sonic racing games boils down to Sega's experience in developing the initial D series, which is an arcade racing game primarily. Um, and that apparently most of the development team had previously worked on Initial D, which is really interesting to me as someone who has played Initial D in arcades before. So I just you have a lot of very experienced, arcade racing devs working on this that are coming in from a very different series, but lending that kind of expertise to the Sonic franchise with Cross Worlds, I just think is really interesting. So yeah, I mean, I'm very interested in how this is going to play, but yeah, I think every little bit of it that I've seen makes me more interested in playing it, and I think it'll be a really cool alternative for, arcade style racers when put up against Mario Kart World.
I mean, and if they stick to like the traditional kart racing aesthetic, there could be a real avenue for that. Because again, as we talked about, Mario Kart World's a very different style of game to some extent this time around.
Mhm.
So that's cool. I got two space games that I want to bring up. We don't know a whole lot about them yet because they literally just showed like debut teasers. The first one that caught my attention was a game called Aphelion that's coming out, which looks like kind of like a very like a moody, atmospheric space adventure game, where it looks like you play as a person who gets stranded on like a planet after a failed space mission, and you're trying to like adventure your way out of it. From what little they showed, and it seems like there's a lot of mystery and intrigue in the game. So I'm looking forward to seeing more about that. The other one, and this one really caught me off guard, not only because of what it looks like, but also who's making it. Alcat Games is making a new game in the Expanse universe, which looks like it's going to be a third-person action adventure game that was given some very Mass Effect vibes as far as like the general presentation goes from the trailer that they showed. I'm not too familiar with the Expanse. I've only ever read the first book in the series, and apparently the first book gets weird at the end, and then like from the second book onward things get really weird. So like the shit that happens in the trailer here was a little just like, that's odd. I didn't realize this was an Expanse game. But that could be cool. But I definitely want to learn more, because Owlcat's a developer that's now firmly on my radar. They of course developed Warhammer 40k Rogue Trader, which I really liked last year, and they're also developing Warhammer 40k Dark Heresy, which is another CRPG, which is typically what they've been associated with. So them moving into like this third person action space, I'm definitely intrigued to see what this game is all about. So I will have that earmarked. Micah, what else do you have?
What else? So the problem, not problem. I have a lot of games, but a lot of them don't have a lot. Like, they're just like announcements.
Sure.
But one that wasn't an announcement, that when I first saw it, I said, I don't know if I'm gonna like this, right? Because I'm not into like steampunk aesthetic.
Oh, I know what you're going to talk about. Yeah, this also caught my attention as well.
But as it went on, from Exile Entertainment, Clockwork Revolution, that was at the Xbox showcase, and listening to some of the dialogue and the banter between the characters, I'm kind of interested now, which, is a lot for coming from me, as someone who is not a fan of this aesthetic. I thought this was going to be like, when I first saw it, I was like, this is just another, what's that game that I think is slightly overrated?
Oh, BioShock Infinite? Because that's what it looks like to me.
Yeah. Yeah. I was thinking of that whale blubber game.
Oh, Dishonored. Dishonored is
Yeah,
what you're thinking.
Dishonored.
Oh,
Yes.
I was like, what do you mean whale blubber game?
Yeah.
But
Okay.
no, I was surprised that I was into this.
And see, it's funny. You were into the kind of like the whole vibe around the game. I perked up as soon as I saw that weapon crafting system that it seems like they have in the game, where you can kind of really freewheel and make some fun shit. So
Yeah. So I see you. I see you, Clockwork Revolution. All right.
Carrie.
Digimon Story Time Stranger looks so good.
As
Look, I
heard someone say on a podcast earlier, why don't Pokemon games just look like that? Like it's fucking sitting there. Like
I have waxed poetic many a time on this podcast about the Cyber Sleuth duology of games. Now, Time Stranger was announced like 8 years ago. They had announced like, oh, like we're working on this, but then we're also working on Hacker's Memory, and then Hacker's Memory came out, and they were like, so we're gonna kick the can down the road on the next Digimon Story game, so that they could then work on Digimon Survive, which was okay. But this game looks great. Yeah, Digimon Story I have frequently described as essentially like a diet Persona, in terms of its gameplay, and the kind of like fusion system plays a lot into how you evolve and manage your lineup of Digimon. Yeah, I'm gonna play the fuck out of this game. It didn't get announced this weekend, but they did confirm the release date, so that's going to be in October. So looking forward to that.
Another game for me that didn't get announced this weekend, but we got to see more of it, and I've now played the demo for it. Kind of interested in Ninja Gaiden Ragebound, which is the new side-scrolling Ninja Gaiden game that's being published by Dotemu. It might be too hard for me, like it might be too difficult, because it definitely kind of lives up to that Ninja Gaiden level of challenge from the old side-scrolling Tecmo games. But it's got some cool shit going on mechanically, where basically the whole game centers around this mechanic where certain enemies, when you kill them, give you like a timed power-up that will basically one-hit kill any normal enemy that's in front of you, and they kind of have the game layered in such a way that you need to take advantage of those, but they will also throw other enemies that you don't want to waste your like one-hit kill ability on to be able to execute it. So a lot of, around that. It does of course have like the Ninja Gaiden platforming, where you have a lot of agility, being able to do like the somersault attack off of enemies to bounce higher or get further and stuff like that. And the game looks really cool, music's great. So I definitely have my eyes on this one. I don't know if it's going to be entirely for me, because again, it's hard. But it reminded me a lot of like maybe kind of like the next step of like The Messenger, if anyone's ever played The Messenger, which is a game that I liked a lot actually. Micah?
So, two things real quick. This first game is not what I want to talk about, but I want to talk about it really quickly. I don't think I would want to... This is a game that was announced that I think is interesting, and I would like to play it, but I would like to play it in real life, and I can't imagine that I would get a lot of replay value from it. It's called Killer Inn. Mm-hmm. It's a social deduction game. And I kind of just want to play a social deduction game in real life. But I don't have friends that live near me, that A, live near me, and B, I think only 2 of them would want to do it. Hi, guys. So I want to try it, but not virtually for some reason. I don't know. The game that I actually want to talk about is the next game from RGG Studios.
Oh yeah, I forgot to put this on my list, but it was cool shit.
What is the
Stranger Than Heaven? Yeah, is the name of it?
Yeah, Stranger Than Heaven, and it's being described as like Judgment meets LA Noire with like a more serious, like gritty, like style that RGG is kind of not known for, because like the Yakuza games can be gritty, but then like you're also chasing like panty thieves, so they balance it a bit. But this looks like, I mean, this shit you talking about taking you back to 2000s. I was in college in the 2000s, and I was just into Asian cinema and just like into like Korean and Chinese and Japanese police dramas and shit. And that's, yeah, man. This looks really, really like right up my alley. A detective named Mako Daito moodily searches for clues to an unknown mystery in a glitzy city filled with people in their lost pursuit of X. Man, this looks dope, man. Look, if you say RGG, I'm probably gonna buy it.
Can I tell you something?
Looks amazing to me.
Can I tell you something? I realized after I saw this trailer, it was like RGG is probably the studio that I like the most, whose games I probably played the littlest of, because literally my extent of experience with RGG is I've played like the first 6 hours of Yakuza Like a Dragon, and that's it. like that's what I said. But like every time I see a game for them come out, I'm like, this looks cool as fuck. Like this game looks amazing. And you know what? All you other fucking AAA developers out there, like, you got no excuse, because RGG manages to fucking use like the same bundle of assets in every fucking game they come out with, and yet every game feels fresh, and they have like 4 different game series that are running now, essentially, alongside each other, and all 4 of them feel different and unique and still fun, and still like innovative as opposed to just like the same, like just releasing the same fucking game over and over again, like with a new skin. So none of you have any excuses if this,
Yeah,
studio
they
can do this.
they know how to manage their assets, and they play into it, right? Like, I mean, how many times have we been to Kamurocho? But
Right.
like, we've been to Kamurocho in different time periods and different eras, and things evolve. Like and the city isn't like some big vast, like thing, right? Like it's small, and it's dense, and it's packed with interesting looking people and stuff to do, and it's like coming home after you've been away for a while, right? And then when they do create a new map, you get the same feeling all over again, man. Look, these games, this studio is great, man. This studio is great, and it is amazing. This is, back when everyone who's listened knows that, I will always have a hole in my soul for Lon D for what he did to my father, and I'll never ever be able to avenge him. But these games have replaced that Shenmue feeling for me. And I've been playing these games for 25 years, man, and it's just yeah, this looks dope, man. This looks real. This game looks dope.
Carrie, what else do you got on your list?
I got one more, and it's one that we knew was coming, but finally got like a really good look at, and it's the Outer Worlds 2. So, Outer Worlds felt a lot like Obsidian just trying to do Fallout, just in space, and to a degree, it was like that. They had a lot of the like original Fallout 1 and 2 creative team working with them, but after having finished the main story of the Outer Worlds, I was just like done. I've had no desire to return to that. And then Outer Worlds 2, with the trailer that we saw at, I believe, the Xbox showcase, and how extremely anti-capitalist it appears to be leaning, I am very much on board. I will certainly play this. I'm sure it'll be a day one Game Pass release. But yeah, I mean, they first announced this like 4 years ago. So it's nice that like we finally got a really in-depth look at what this game is going to look like, what the premise is, and that also comes out end of October. So I'm sure I will play a good bit of that.
Is it a direct sequel to the first one, or is it a sequel the same way that Fallout games are a sequel, where it's just in universe, but you're a different character?
I it's hard to tell from the trailer. I think it could go either way. I don't know that they have necessarily said one way or the other. Now they have established that Outer Worlds 2 takes place in Arcadia, which is a different colony or series of colonies from the first game. The first game was set in the Halcyon colony. So that being said, like it could be the same character. It could be a direct sequel. It could be like a simultaneous kind of thing to the events of the first game. But regardless, I'm ready to go back to space and shoot some pro-capitalists. And that's all I got.
Do I have anything else that was really jumping out? I guess like the last game for me that I was happy to see, and this was a new announcement. The next game from Drinkbox Studios, makers of the Guacamelee series, makers of Nobody Saves the World, which I think flew under the radar and didn't get as much attention as it deserved. But they're coming out with a game called Blighted, which is a 3D action game, which is a first for them. Their games have been either 2D or top down prior to this. And Drinkbox is one of those studios that I will, just them being attached to it will make me immediately interested to at least check out to see what's going on and see what's happening. And it's got a fucking wacky strange premise like their games always do. So I will be looking forward to hearing more information about Blighted. I think it comes out next year, and more to come there. But if you haven't seen the trailer for that, make sure you check that out. Micah, anything else?
No, I don't think so. I think everything that you know, I think the showings were. I think this. I watched all three major shows. Did Nintendo have one? I don't.
No,
remember.
I think they have one scheduled for next week. This week, something like that.
Okay. I watched all
I
three
don't think
shows.
there is a Nintendo one scheduled. for
I
this year.
heard rumors that they were going to have a June Direct. So
I don't know that that's been confirmed.
Oh, okay.
But knowing Nintendo, they could come out tomorrow morning and be like, "Catch us on Friday. We got
Right.
something for you." So, like,
Yeah, so it's been their. It feels like it's been their MO lately for sure. So.
Yeah.
So most of the shows were pretty good. I think the Sony show had a wide variety of games that I thought were interesting, followed by the Xbox showcase. I really enjoyed. You know, there's stuff that has already been announced. I don't know if there's anything new that that I would be into. You buying that? Well, you're probably not buying that Xbox handheld.
The ROG Expo? No, absolutely not.
Yeah, I didn't think so.
No, I mean, for people. Here's the thing with the handheld space, right? So like, I've kind of like made my bed with the Steam Deck because the Steam Deck is kind of like the Apple device in that space. Where is it the most powerful? No. Is it, like does it do everything? Not without having to do some bullshit to it. But it also just works the best. Like Steam OS is really fucking good as a platform. And so I'm happy to see that with these new Xbox branded ones, that Microsoft seems to be crafting an OS that works well on these types of devices. Because I will tell you from what I've heard from people who use like the ROG Ally and like the Lenovo Legion Go, using Windows on that style of a platform that does not have a mouse and a keyboard by default fucking sucks, and it makes it almost completely unusable. So if Microsoft's developed an OS that works as good as SteamOS does, then that's a competitor. And they're going to have two versions of it. I don't know if people caught that. There's going to be an entry-level version, which is comparably spec'd to the Steam Deck. And then there's going to be like the big boy version that has like the bells and whistles. They haven't announced price yet. I was listening to Retro Gamecore, who's a great follow for this sort of stuff if you're interested. He thinks that the entry-level one will come in around $600, and that like the beefy one with the chipset that's in it will come in around $1,000. That's a lot of fucking money for that kind of stuff. So they'll work well. But again, if you already have, if you're already invested, like if you have a Steam Deck, there's literally no reason for you to jump out and grab this. If you, I don't know, man, like if this is going to be your primary way that you engage with games, like if you have a Switch and then one of these guys, that's a pretty good place to be because you can do video out on these things as well. But still, like $1,000, like if that big one comes out at $900 or $1,000, it's a lot of fucking money for a handheld, or at least that's how people are going to view it. And so it'll have an audience, but I don't necessarily know that's going to be a lot of the folks listening to this podcast, per se. That makes sense. But will I be buying one? Absolutely not. No, if I really need to run Windows games on my Steam Deck, like I'll just fucking hack it onto my Steam Deck. The Steam Deck is good enough for me, and if like from a spec standpoint, and if I need to play a game that requires more specs, I'll play it on a actual PC. Like that's fine.
Well, believe me when I tell you, and I'm dead serious about this. Ain't no way I'm buying.
No,
this,
you and
right?
you don't
I
and
just
you
said
don't
that
need
shit with the
you don't
Switch.
need to. Yeah, you don't need to.
Yeah, I ain't buying this. Look, yeah, I'm glad it's there for people if you want it. Like you said, I'd probably just get a Steam Deck. If push came to shove and I absolutely needed to play something not Nintendo on the road, I'd just get a Steam Deck.
Yeah.
But yeah, look, I liked I like the PlayStation showcase. I like the Xbox showcase. Jeff's thing was, very Jeff. But all in all, I kind of I miss I miss E3, and this is a nice little substitute for me until like Jeff becomes like too big,
Mhm.
and then it's
Here's the funny thing, though. I don't think he will be because he so like it's one thing if like he was the only thing that's happening that weekend, right? But the big publishers like your Sony, Microsoft, Nintendo's have realized, and it's been this way for years now, they can just do it themselves, right? Like they don't have to have a live presentation. They can do their little pre-recorded directs and have this stuff together, and they know they'll be able to attract their third party, like the big publishers as partners to show their stuff off during this event. So I think what summer and Game Awards is different because Game Awards you're not competing with all the other like presentations that are going on. So Jeff will have more of the big publishers at Game Awards because he's the only game in town during that specific event. But for like SGF and also for Gamescom, because like I know Microsoft does shit around Gamescom themselves as well. Jeff's gonna get the scraps for that, man, and the scraps are gonna be like we said, those AAA publishers who are just like, bro, I've got the next fucking Fortnite sitting right here in my hands. I just got to get that fucking message out to people. Let me wear my cool FPS MAGA hat and talk about how fucking nobody likes fucking Halo. We want to make games like we want our Titanfall. So here's our battle royale game that's coming out.
Right, bro, like this ain't it, man. This is not it. Like what the fuck? That dude had a real punchable face, man. Like that dude had a real punchable face. I don't know what. He seemed like he seemed like a Charlie Kirk type. You know what I mean? Like I just got that vibe from him, man. It just seems kind of off.
Try like we'll call him like cosplay Cliffy B. Like at least Cliffy B had like a natural fucking charisma.
Yeah, he's got like he had like a weird like nerd. He had like that like. I was a nerd, then I grew into myself, but I'm still kind of a nerd. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Type of thing going on. He's like, I'm a nerd, but I've had sex before. And then now all you nerds come and ask me about it, right? Like he's got that vibe. Whereas this dude was just like,
dude, I've met Cliff Blazinski with his wife. His wife is very attractive. I will say.
Oh, there you go.
Like I said, that Gears cachet was paying off. In spades for him. So
there you go.
But yeah, this guy who's had his cool baseball bat. Like Jacob Geller put online, he's like, can you imagine like if you're a developer on this fucking team, like you've been working so hard on Splitgate 2 for years and years and years and fucking tooling away out it. Like this is like the big moment finally, like to really show off the game, and then you're fucking. Like the head of your studio comes out and does that fucking shit. Like I'd be so fucking pissed off right now, man, because all people are talking about are how like hey, I might have been interested in Splitgate 2, but that fucking shit turned me off like crazy. Like read the room.
Yeah, man. He looks like he walks around saying consoles will not replace us. Consoles will not replace us. You know what I mean? He just got that vibe. I don't know.
But that's what you're gonna have at the fucking Keighley show for Summer Games Fest, at least, because those are the studios that are able to throw that money down to get on that stage, and all the stuff that people actually will find interesting will just be all around that. Because again, like if you go to watch like the Future Games show and a Day of the Devs and some of those other presentations, there's a lot of cool shit in there, and like the shit in there is not going to be for everybody, but there's going to be something for somebody in there for sure, even if it's not the huge audience. And the comment that I made like during the PlayStation presentation, I feel the same way for the Xbox One as well, is during those showcases, there was at least one game in both of those showcases that I think almost everybody could get really excited about. You know what I mean? Like there's at least one thing for everybody to get. You know, like I don't give a shit about, you know, like this stuff over here, but man, I'm looking forward to this. And I just don't think that Jeff's show really had that, to the extent that you know, people are like, holy shit. Like, and again, like we talked about the fucking Muppet boxing game that was a surprisingly cool shit. I'm not like fucking hyped for that game. I'm just like, holy shit, like this looks cool. I'm interested to learn more about it. Mm-hmm. But like nothing out of that presentation that I was like, oh, I gotta play this shit fucking tomorrow. Like that just wasn't there. So yeah.
All right.
So that's an SGF in the books again, because we knew we were going long. No post office. We will catch up next week on all those questions that have been piling up in there, and I'm sure more. I'm definitely curious to hear your thoughts, the listeners, on Summer Games Fest. Any games that you're excited about that are coming out. Also, for it's a Steam Next Fest right now, so lots of demos out there. I've loaded up and playing a bunch of shit right now. So I will say. And Terrence, if you're listening, played Moonlighter 2. I don't know about Moonlighter 2. They made a lot of changes that I don't necessarily think I'm vibing with from this demo, but we'll see more about that later. But of course, if you're not a member of our Discord, you can sign up by going to densepixels.com/fans to talk to other listeners of the show and to be able to ask us questions in the post office. Again, don't forget to subscribe on YouTube by going to youtube.com/densepixels. You can find us and all the other TNP Studio shows just by searching for TNP Studios in the podcast app of your choice. So you can subscribe to us, the Apocalypse, Black on Black Cinema, and the Look Forward Political Podcast. And if you would like to support us with zeal, go to densepixels.com/premium and just give us $5 a month, because there's never been a more important time to support the independent media that you love. So we would appreciate some of that support if you can swing it. That is going to be it for us this week. Micah, go drink an entire bottle of honey and feel better. And thank you all for watching and listening. See you all the next time.
See ya.
See ya.
You're watching the Dense Pixels YouTube channel. Click the subscribe button while you're here and make sure you check out our weekly podcast where we discuss the latest gaming news and our impressions on what games we've been playing.